Whoa, chill now. I know that title might have set a couple of you off, but you gotta let me explain myself. Yeah, I said it. It's out there. Payday 3 is perfect. I might not mean what you think I mean though. So hear me out for a second. I think that Payday 3 is really good, but I don't think that it is a perfect game by any means. I think that for what I paid and what I wanted from a Payday 2 sequel was perfect. I think I got what I paid for and what I wanted from a Payday 2 sequel. Therefore, I have to say Payday 3 is the perfect Payday 3. There's a whole lot that I enjoyed during my time playing, even though I did find a lot of things that I could not look past. And I want to talk about both of those things today and let you all know why I think Payday 3 is perfect. So let's just get right into the bank and get this heist going. Okay. Before we get to the usual pros and cons of the game and the things I liked and disliked, let's take a quick step into the time machine first. So I do not know if a lot of you remember my first video on Payday 3 and what I thought about the trailers and such before the game's release. Saving you the trouble of checking it out, I thought that the game looked really good actually, and I even said that the game looked perfect. Though just like now, I thought it looked perfect in the sense of a Payday 2 sequel, and really I would say that I was right in that video. So back to the present, what were my first impressions on the game? Well, as you could probably tell already, I thought that things were pretty good. I thought that the game ran great, the graphics were on the better side, the audio didn't seem to have any issues, and for $40, I was honestly quite happy playing out my first heist. Saying that though, there were a few things that I thought could have been done differently and skewed certain views I had on the gameplay. I want to get into both of those things, kind of how I did in my Starfield video. Though I will say right now that this first look review will not be like my first Starfield video. Think about it more of my second and my redemption. But I think with a game like Payday 3, it only takes 5 to 10 hours to get a pretty good grasp on what the game is like. So with the time I have given it, I would say I am set in my opinions until certain updates or DLC comes. But honestly, I'm droning on and I need to just get right into this video and let you all know my exact thoughts on Payday 3. Halt! You found yourself in an intergalactic warp folly and the only way to escape this phenomenon is to listen to this announcement. Thank you all so much for the support that the channel's been seeing in the past week or so. I honestly cannot believe the amount of views, likes, comments, and subs we've been seeing. And now, we are only one step away from 1K subs, and that is all thanks to you fine people. And if you have not liked nor subscribed yet, what are you doing? This community is awesome and we'd love your addition, so definitely like and subscribe for all of the awesome new vids. Now that the systems are nominal again, let's jump right back into Payday 3. What in the world was that? I don't know, let's just move past that. But I want to start off with the pros and leave the negativity until later, as there is honestly a lot more positive that I found. Before the game released, I had actually jotted down a couple of things that I was hoping to see, whether it was things that the past Payday games had done right or things I thought needed a little change. And then, once playing and returning to my list to see if I noticed anything that I wrote down, I ended up checking off almost every single thing on that list. So going right into the pros and starting off before you even get into the gameplay, that would be the settings. One of the first things I do when I open a game for the first time is go right to the settings. Now, I thought about it recently, and I know console players might not understand this, but to you PC players out there, the settings are great. You are able to tweak and fix all of your settings, get the perfect performance to exactly what you want. Along with this, they have an FOV slider, which is necessary in PC gaming these days, as most games make me feel like my nose is touching whatever I'm looking at, making me want to puke. So that was definitely nice to see. Then looking through all the different menus, you can see that there's a nice amount of guns and masks and cosmetics to purchase, though I am going to need to play much longer to unlock the majority of them. On the topic of the actual menu, that will have to wait. Now, getting into the actual heists, let's move on to the heist selection menu, which, honestly, I thought was a big improvement. I know a lot of people liked the heist select in Payday 2, but honestly, it always felt way too hectic for me, along with having to wait for certain heists if you wanted to play a specific one. In Payday 3 though, it is more of something I would say is similar to Hitman: The World of Assassination games, getting to choose the heists from more of a list and order. This also leads into the next thing that I noticed, which was the lack of story in Payday 2. That was fixed for Payday 3. I brought up in my last video that I did not like how Payday 2 did its story, or lack thereof, should I say. You kind of just robbed places, took out cops, and did stuff. Yeah, that's it. Sure, there was audio and dialogue in there before the missions, but there was just no real story behind the whole game other than robbery. In Payday 3 though, in between the heists, you have the choice to watch 1 or 2 little cutscenes which set up the heist you're about to do and wrap up the finish heists. Now, I do love this because I like at least a little bit of story. In Payday 2, it felt like Call of Duty lobbies where you join, play a match, move on. But not here. Other than that, let's just get right into the gameplay because it seems like I'm stepping around that. So, I think right off the bat, the game looks absolutely great. I don't care what anyone tells me, I think that all of the detail of New York just looks great. Along with the gun models, the playable character models, the interactables, I think it was all modeled just very well and it was all just something pleasant to look at. Sure, it was not photorealistic or anything, but I would say it's perfectly acceptable and even good for 2023. And then, with the great graphics, the performance that comes with is also really good as well. With ultra settings, I was averaging a solid 100 frames, and with DLSS on quality, I am easily capped off at my monitor's 144Hz constantly. So maybe I got the golden copy, but just as I was happy to see with Dead Island 2, it's nice to see a smooth game in 2023, even though that's not really anything to praise. On the side of the character models, they were good, but as I said, the playable character models were definitely looking great, along with the hostiles, but the civilians could definitely have looked better, though I don't want to make this a con because it was not big enough. They just didn't look very varying. Now, moving on and away from graphics, what did the audio sound like? I feel like a lot of people look past audio not noticing that bad and broken audio can literally ruin a game. Payday 3 though, has great sounds. The voice acting sounds like actors put effort into it, unlike some games. Along with this, the quirky quips you could expect from the older games are here too. Hoxton saying one of my faves, "Sniper, no sniping." I don't know why, I just like that. And on the topic of sounds, there was still that classic cloaker sound that still haunts my dreams. And with quips, I wrote down that I wanted Payday 3 to be a little more serious. I did enjoy the humor of Payday 2 and I wanted some of it to travel over, but I did not like the extent it went with how many jokes the game made, making it ultimately hard to take it serious at times. Though Payday 3 has jokes, but still keeps a serious tone, kinda closer to Payday the Heist, which was actually another one of my points. I wanted this game to be more like the first in the series than the second, and they actually hit the mark there. And speaking of older games, you can't have a Payday game without the clowns. And of course, the clowns we all know and love make their appearance in Payday 3. We have the classics from the first game, Hoxton, Dallas, Chains, and Wolf, all sporting new outfits, which are customizable, and that is a new, great thing that you have to love. Gotta love good customization in games, especially online, as you want to look slick robbing banks with your friends. We also get only one, returning character aside from the main crew, which is Joy. And along with that, we get Pearl, a new heister to the crew. Another thing that I liked seeing was the different models on the police, along with different enemy types, such as grenaders where you can shoot their belt, taking out everyone in the vicinity. Along with this, enemies like the Cloaker and Taser have different and, in my opinion, well-looking models. And on the side of new things, I actually really liked the new heists. One thing I wanted to see was more in the heists. I did not want the usual 15-minute go in, set up the drill, grab, leave. In Payday 3's first heist though, there is so much more to do, and more that you can do. More starts to the mission, whether there's a different objective in stealth, or whether you can drill or get into the security room. Like in the first heist, you can go after the vault or the security room. Then when the heist really popped off, I was not putting a drill up to break into the vault. That would be too easy. Instead, you can get to the security room to open the door, or you have to get thermite and burn a hole in the top of the vault to get in. Once you're in though, you don't just grab the money and leave. You have to deactivate the dye packs first. And the whole time you have to stop police from turning on the sprinklers, slowing everything down. Then at the end, you have to fight your way to the exit point, lowering barriers, and even stopping police so that the van can get to you. There is just more to the missions than get in and get out, and I really enjoyed the more fleshed out heists. And while you're in these heists, the police and hostile system is totally different as well, and honestly a lot better. Not only can you take people as human shields, but the hostage trading is totally different as well. Not only trade them to get your friends back, but you can also trade them for resources and more time. Speaking of more time, the police actually back off, leaving you for a bit. I know they did that in Payday 2, but it was like you finished off a wave and that wave was over. Here, you can physically see them leaving and retreating, as if setting up negotiations before going back in. And it all just feels better to have a more diverse police system while still keeping true to the classics we expected. And honestly, I want to move on to the last pro I want to talk about today. Not that that is all the pros, I just don't have time for absolutely everything, as there is a lot that I enjoyed while playing Payday 3. But Payday 3 did New York really well, especially for being a completely new area we're seeing. The detail on the towering skyscrapers and cars parked on the road all looks fantastic. Along with this, they fixed the big issue that was in Payday 2, which was how dead the streets and cities were. There were maybe 1 or 2 people hanging out with cars driving by, but only ways down the road, not to get in your way. It always felt weird to me, like a custom map in some games, as there was a huge city, a huge map, but the only people seems to be where your objective was. That fixed though with New York. There are amazing detailed cars driving right by you, people left and right that don't look like they're just wandering around aimlessly as if they know they're an NPC. People looking around, hanging out, talking to each other. And though it is scripted, it just feels a lot less scripted than the previous entry. They just made an immersion factor to the playable world that was way better than both Payday 1 and 2. But honestly, as I said, I could talk for days about what I enjoyed. If you knew my previous thoughts on the game, I was super excited for it, as I loved the previous 2 entries. So I'm just gonna leave the pros where they lay and shift right on over to the few cons that I found in Payday 3. Okay, fine. We can talk about the bad things now, even though I love the game enough to not want to talk about it. But there were honestly a couple of things that were just impossible to look past. I'll start off with the menu, as I mentioned it before. I liked the heist selection menu, I liked the settings, I liked the options menu, but honestly, I did not like just the general menu. What I mean by this is where you select your weapons, outfits, masks, etc. I just did not like the menu. I didn't even like the Payday 2 menu either, and I wanted it simplified. Sadly though, I spoke in my mind a little too soon, as the menu in Payday 3 just feels way too oversimplified, and it just feels lackluster and lazy. The next thing I really did not like, and probably the biggest con for me, is the fact that you cannot play offline. They give you the option to play invite only, though somehow you still have to wait 2 minutes to join your own game, and then when you're in game, with my perfect internet connection at least, the game would lag and have connection problems frequently. Like, I just want to play alone sometimes, and it sucks when I have to play with workarounds. Another thing I feel like this affected is that I did a full 30-minute long heist, the second heist to be exact, and the objective was to stop and transport a truck full of money. After finally getting it where I needed it, fighting off hundreds of enemies, then getting the truck open, there was no loot, and nothing to do. Like, the loot was just missing from the truck, causing the 30 minutes that I just put into that heist to be a complete waste of time. I don't know if it was a bug, I don't know if it was connection issues, but that was just kind of weird and annoying to see. And by the end of the heist I ended up completing, I was expecting to choose a Payday card and get a prize, like from Payday 2. No Payday card though, and that might not be a huge issue or anything in the long run, but I was just a little disappointed to see that. But you know, onto what I actually disliked about the gameplay, and honestly, there was not a whole lot. The first thing I noticed was, I enjoyed the graphics and the character models, but I will say that all of the animations feel like a major step back. Everything is overemphasized and almost cartoony. Like, people taking damage looks really off. Then when we get to the sound of hitting enemies, the hit marks, ouch. I cannot stand it. I will probably figure out a way in the audio settings to get rid of it, but it was honestly making me slowly become insane within the first 5 to 10 minutes of playing. But honestly, I want to end the cons off with the second biggest issue I noticed, and that would have to be how fast the gameplay is. Like, I wanted them to slow down the gameplay from Payday 2 a little bit. That didn't happen though. It honestly feels like everything is faster and more hectic. It is almost like with all of the running around and needing to be here, there, while constantly fighting off waves of enemies, feels like I'm playing Call of Duty Zombies, but just bank robbery instead of apocalypse. Ironic too, knowing that Overkill had a zombie game for like a week, but I just wish they slowed things down, and sadly, we must live with the coked out gameplay. And really, I want to end the pros and cons there. I could talk about the game all day, but honestly, it would probably be me ranting about stuff I just like about the Payday games in general. And I really enjoyed my time playing Payday 3, and I think that for only $40, this is a great deal for the Payday fans. I also want to say that this is the beginning of the game's life, and after seeing what happened with Payday 2's content, I can fully expect to see so much more to come in the future. I also want to say now that no, I'm not just hopping on a trend or a bandwagon because Payday 3 just came out. I heard that a lot from my past Starfield video, but honestly, if you've been a fan of the channel for a while, then you would know that I've been talking about these games being especially hyped for Payday 3. So no, I am not trend hopping, I'm just returning to the games that I said I would return to. But that is that. I returned to Payday 3 on its release, and I have to say that I'm quite happy, and I don't take back a single thing I've said with my previous Payday 3 thoughts leading up to its release. But with the great graphics, awesome gameplay, great classic characters, I fully recommend the game, and I would say that it is definitely worth the $40 that I paid. And yes, that is right. We are here at the end of today's video, and it is time for me to head off into the sunset. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about this video along with any other game suggestions in the comments now. And if you like this video and want to see more from me, check out my channel now, and you have to like and subscribe to stay up to date on everything coming out. Well, I guess maybe you don't have to. And if you want to see any more of these Friday vids, along with supporting anything else going on the channel, go ahead and check out a membership to either my channel or my Patreon to get your name at the end of every video, along with a couple of other perks. Links are on screen in the description and in my channel links now. But as always, never feel pressured, as if you're here already, that is plenty. Lastly, if you heard any music that you enjoyed and want to hear more, check out BillyTheWhip.com or just Billy the Whip on any music platform for some awesome new music. And as always, my departing message, thank you all so much for everything, and I hope that you all have a great day. Now I'm gonna go unlock some more stuff in Payday 3.
The boogeyman coming for you. Look out for the pigs, look out for me too. Been chewing them up, spitting the new, spitting the bones, pushing the noose, squeezing the game. Been making that juice, no need for the pulp. I'm spitting that too, rip it through. Anyone jumping through hoops, it's emergency, man. Sending the troops. I'm on the offensive, so don't get defensive.